Some games feature exploits or secret shortcuts that let you skip past a whole level. Thing is, this usually requires skill and timing. Like how you can skip straight to the fight with Bowser from the start of Super Mario 64 if you know to just infinity backwards long jump after glitching through the wall at exactly this spot. The speedrun folks made this look a lot easier. But occasionally it's possible to skip a whole level, boss fight, or entire stretch of a video game with almost no effort, exploiting a level skip so hilariously straightforward we can't help but chortle, thinking about all the difficult bits of the game we just bypassed in mere seconds. Stopwatches at the ready for some of the easiest, funniest ways you ever skipped a whole level. Beware spoilers for the following.
For God's sake, open the silo door! They're coming for us! It's our only way out! Oh my God, we're doomed!
Life is relentlessly unpleasant for physicist Gordon Freeman, who probably thought he would be spending his late 20s running experiments and peer-reviewing papers, not shotgunning intradimensional beings in the face and being murdered by automated defense turrets. The Half-Life stage We've Got Hostiles is typical of the violent nonsense Gordon must endure, so he'd be delighted to learn there's a simple way of bypassing the whole sorry chapter in about 20 seconds. The secret lies with this scientist, who you'll encounter right at the start of the level, demonstrating how the keen academic mind confronts a crisis.
Oh my God, we're doomed!
That scientist wants the silo door behind him opened, and no wonder, because it leads to the next level.
Oh my God, we're doomed!
As you'd expect though, opening that door is no easy task, ordinarily requiring you to venture deeper and deeper into Black Mesa, confronting any number of horrors, until eventually you are spat out on the other side of the glass and can open the silo yourself.
They're right here.
Ordinarily, that is. Instead, why not run right up to that panicky scientist and spam the interact button, which makes him follow you, magically forgetting how terrified he is.
Lead the way.
Lead him to the security door and...
I'll wait right here.
Cheers, mate! Though if you had access to this room, why all the panic in the first place? You know what, doesn't matter. The main thing is, now you can hit the silo door button that should be inaccessible until the end of the level, and stroll to the next chapter, Blast Pit. Hilariously simple. Better yet, having spared the scientist, you can bring him along with you, fulfilling his dream of making it past the silo doors at last. Dreams can come true.
Good afternoon, sir. Can I help you?
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Ah, Mr. Bond. We have a safety deposit box waiting for you.
The World Is Not Enough lets you imagine you're James Bond, suave British super spy. Or at least gets as close to that as possible, bearing in mind this game was on the Nintendo 64, so everyone has lumpy faces, and Bond's smooth moves mostly involve sprinting around with his fist held out electrocuting people. The game's opening level sees Bond sent to a bank in Spain to meet a Swiss banker, and at first offers very simple objectives. Start by getting some equipment, including an appointment card for that meeting from a safety deposit box, and avoid civilian casualties. Easy enough, especially when the box is right by the start of the level. Of course, having picked up your equipment, you are immediately given a new objective, then more and more as the level unfolds into typical Bond fare. That is to say, cracking safes, destroying files, and shooting an unconscionable number of people in the process. I mean, if you have a license to kill, you're just wasting it otherwise. Unless, of course, you exploit a trick at the start that skips this level entirely. Because if you deliberately set off the convenient alarm right next to the safety deposit box, the game assumes the whole mission is a bust. So when you pick up your equipment from the box, the game never gives you your next objective. Which means you can waltz right out the bank the way you came in, and the poor confused game has no option but to declare this a victory, seeing as you didn't hurt any civilians and you did collect your equipment from the safety deposit box, which, technically at this point, were your only tasks. I mean, presumably Em is going to tear us a new one in the debrief, but hey, maybe write more specific objectives next time, Em. Also, you never specified an upper limit on the number of times a guard can be watch-tasered. I mean, if you got a license to taser, you're just wasting it otherwise.
Doom 64, like so many games in the venerable Doom series, is a non-stop heart-pounding onslaught of demonic carnage, where almost every second is spent violently dispatching hordes of demons, with the only respite coming when you occasionally die. And even then, the makers of the game mock you with sarcastic messages on the game over screen. Ha 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 yourself, I'm about to skip a whole level in your game. This via an exploit in the penultimate level of Doom 64 called No Escape. Usually, this grueling stage involves a typical gory sprint through a series of tunnels and open areas, fighting demons and searching through rooms for switches. With enough effort and blood spilt, you'll ultimately find a switch that opens a cage back at the very start of the area. But as if that wasn't enough, this cage contains a hulking great cyber demon, who, having burst out, will fight you to the death, very possibly your death. If you can beat it in Mortal Kombat, however, victory is finally yours because the level ends when that cyber demon dies. Now, maybe we just have slaughter fatigue, but that sounds like a lot of effort. So, alternatively, walk right up to that end of level cage right when you start the level and find the tiny gap between the bars through which that final cyber demon can be seen. And wouldn't you know it, our shotgun fits right through the gap. From this sneaky angle, you can blast away at that final cyber demon at your leisure, with no chance of it being able to hit you back. Seems a bit cruel, but hey, it's a demon. It gets it. We've no idea whether the makers of the game were aware this was possible. Maybe it's a deliberate treat to reward curious players, or maybe they were so busy thinking of side-splitting burns for the game over screens they forgot to bulletproof the cage doors properly. Well, who's laughing now? We are, because remember the ha 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 thing from before?
Maniac Mansion is one of those vintage adventure games that strictly adheres to what experts call point-and-click logic. This is a lot like regular logic, except, for instance, if you wanted to open a garage door, instead of using a key, the solution would be to click use on a Hunk-O-Matic exercise station to get strong enough to force it open. How's he lifting that with his arms by his side? Hang on, not sure I want to know. So the very last thing you'd expect is for Maniac Mansion to all of a sudden adhere to any kind of real-world logic. And yet it not only does that, it does so in a way that lets you skip a huge chunk of complicated point-and-click chicanery. The proper way into Dr. Fred's basement lab is to use paint remover on a paint blotch to reveal a hidden attic, find the broken wires, repair the wires with tools from the trunk of the car in the garage you access with strong arms after having another character turn off the circuit breakers. Then, with the wires fixed, Dr. Fred will play an arcade machine, and the high score he gets, well, that's the code. Or, I mean, walk straight to the door and try code 0000. That's right, until Dr. Fred plays on that arcade cabinet, the code is just 4 zeros. Doubtless the default code that the manufacturer left it set to when the door installation team put the dang thing in. was lazy, but maybe after also installing the Hunko-matic, they were just keen to get the hell out.
Back in the olden days of video games, boss fights used to be scarier, and this despite the fact that those bosses tended to look like they were drawn in hammer beads. Why? Because this was the era of having finite lives, which meant if a boss killed you, it made it massively less likely you'd successfully finish the game. As such, if there was a way to weasel out of a boss battle, my god, you would take it. Double Dragon on the NES provided one such golden opportunity at the end of the second stage. A slog through what looks to be a construction yard? Maybe a factory? I don't know, it's hard to tell when you're focused on not getting a cardboard box thrown in your face. Ah, the corner got me in the eye! At the end of this gauntlet and up a series of ladders is Chin, a purple-haired martial artist who'll have your health bar in half if you don't have your wits about you. One option to defeat Chin is to get really good at Double Dragon, but a more realistic and hilariously simple way is this. As soon as he appears, backtrack down the ladders until he's pulled off screen, at which point the poor NES with the object permanence of a newborn presumably can't hold Chin in its minuscule memory because it deletes him and you win the mission. Alright, this trick doesn't skip a whole level exactly, but it does get you past a dangerous opponent in approximately 2 seconds, and without having to punch or kick even once. Unless you count punching the air in Glee IRL when Chin gets vaporized by the console itself. Maybe learn to climb a ladder next time, Chin. How long have you been stuck up there?
Dark Souls is a game that isn't known for making things easy for its players. As the chosen undead, you must reach the 2 bells of awakening, and to get to the first bell requires you fighting your way through the beautifully named Undead Burg. This hellish area has you wade through a bunch of the undead before you come up against the Taurus demon, aka a very angry Minotaur. And if that wasn't stressful enough, you then have to get past this massive dragon who wants to set you and everything within 30 miles of you on fire. So imagine how mad you'd be if you found out you could have skipped all that and even more Undead Burg horrors just by selecting the right freebie item in the character creator. Very? I'm guessing very. To drastically reduce the number of bosses you need to fight, you can start the game with the Master Key, which opens up any doors you find with a simple lock. To do this, you either play as a thief or select the key as your bonus starting gift. It's that simple! Ooh, okay, you look real angry now. The Master Key opens up a shortcut right underneath the first bit of Lordran you come to, Firelink Shrine. Head down some stairs, down a lift and open this gate and hey presto! A direct and enemy-free route to the tunnels of Blighttown, an area you wouldn't otherwise get to until much later. From here you've got routes to both Bells of Awakening, giving you the option to skip not only the Undead Burg, but 2 other key-dropping bosses too. There's the Capra demon in the lower Undead Burg, who is found in a really tiny room with a really big sword. And 2 very angry dogs. And the gaping dragon, a boss in the depths with more teeth in its torso than there are bricks in the Great Wall of China. The Master Key opens up tons of workarounds that make your journey through Dark Souls a lot quicker. And again, I stress, all you need to do to unlock these workarounds is press down on the D-pad 6 times. And here you are in Blighttown, only 10 minutes after you began the game. Hooray! I'm starting to see what the whole first bit of the game was for.
Sonic the Hedgehog aims to do only one thing: go fast and stop Dr. Robotnik, which is one thing if you do it fast enough, which Sonic does. So you might say Sonic is in fact duty-bound to take the fast way out of any level he comes up against, and that in fact it would be a total abandonment of his principles to do otherwise. And if you agree we've done enough to centre this next level skip as a morally righteous act, then we can continue. This infamous shortcut allows Sonic to bypass not just any level, but the final level in the game, and arguably the toughest, the savagery that is Scrap Brain Zone Act 3. In this miserable labyrinth, players will encounter laser fire, enemies leaping out of the floor, and the thing any Sonic player fears above all else, the drowning music. Ugh. So the smart thing is to skip all that unpleasantness by sprinting off from the start of the level, fast enough to drop under this bridge before it finishes moving. Congrats, you are now right by the end of a level you would have had to take a lengthy circuitous route to finish, with perhaps less than a minute's worth of patient platforming standing between you and the final boss of the game. The irony is that the only way you could miss this shortcut is if you weren't constantly making Sonic travel as fast as possible. So while you slow-mos in the slow lane are picking your way through Act 3 like slow babies, we're already done and ready to serve final boss Dr. Robotnik with Sonic's own brand of fast justice. Okay, game over. But, at least we got there fast.
So those are some hilariously simple ways you skipped a whole chunk of a video game. Can you think of any other examples? Do let us know in the comments below, and thank you for not skipping any of this video and getting all the way here. You are amazing. Why not give yourselves a thumbs up down below? Yeah, that's honestly for you, not us, honest. And maybe hit subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be cool, because we do other videos, like we do loads more list videos like this, and like fun quizzes and crafting, and we do Dungeons and Dragons and Blades in the Dark, and look, I'm just excited. Please, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.